everybody, it's Ben here from Bitrise, and I'm with Oliver, and it's Friday, February 6th, and the Apple 26, or the Xcode 26.3 release candidate with the new coding intelligence features were released, on Tuesday or Wednesday, so we've been playing with it for a couple of days, and we wanted to record this video just to give you a rough idea for what's packaged up here by Apple and its partners, and what are our impressions so far. Oliver, you've been deep diving into this. Can you just start by explaining, like, coding intelligence has already been a feature of Xcode for a little bit. What's new in 26.3?
Yeah, so there are two distinct things, two new things. One is that if you are using Xcode as your main AI editor, then you can now power your AI editings and sessions by Claude Code or OpenAI Codex. So you can integrate those into Xcode with a click of a button, basically. The other one that is, I think, more interesting is that if you are not using Xcode actively, but use something like Claude Code from the terminal or Cursor or some other IDE, but if those speak the MCP protocol, then they can utilize Xcode as an MCP server, and Xcode can provide additional tools to that AI agent, whatever you use. For example, you are using Claude Code, you can go through the usual flow of adding a new MCP server, but this is not a HTTP or remote server in this case, but you are connecting to your local Xcode instance, which needs to be running at the same time. So this is very important, that Xcode needs to be open, and you actually need to open a specific workspace or project. So everything that Xcode offers is a kind of extra information to the LLM is in the context of one specific workspace.
And what about Xcode build versus Xcode itself?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we've been playing with this. Obviously, we dumped and extracted the available tools that Xcode is offering to the LLM through this MCP bridge. There are 20 tools. Most of them seem like the kind of basic tools that you would expect, such as editing a file, creating new files, running a build, running some tests, running a subset of all tests. So most of them seem like a subset of what's possible with the Xcode build CLI interface and flex. But obviously, this is a much easier thing, and hopefully LLMs don't get confused about the CLI syntax, don't make as many mistakes. And yeah, and there are some of these more interesting tools that are not part of the Xcode CLI, such as rendering Swift UI previews or running a new Swift playground in the context of a specific file. Let's say you have a Swift file with certain imports, and that file is part of a specific target, and the LLM now can create a new playground in that context without writing ad hoc and junk code to your actual source files. So I think this is a kind of a nice way to play with ideas and experiment without actually making irreversible changes to the code base. Just like a real playground for humans.
And so in your experience experimenting with this for the past couple of days, any limitations that you've run up against so far?
Yeah, there are a few. I was missing the feature to actually deploy an app and run tests on a real simulator, or just managing simulators in the first place. I know there are community MCP implementations for that. The other one that is a big question, especially for us at Bitrise, is that This is meant for the local development and the inner loop, inner iteration. And the question is how it's going to be possible to use it in CI or headless environment.
What about I remember we were talking about some permission dialogues.
Yeah. So what you have to know is that if you think about the traditional experience of having like a Cloud Code session in your terminal, usually that Cloud Code, so that's the client in the MCP architecture, and Xcode is the server that is providing extra tools to the client. It's usually the client who does and manages all the permissions, such as, is the LLM authorized to use this tool, call this tool, or make network requests, and so on. What's really interesting is that Xcode, in this case, also has a permission system, and you as the user also need to verify that the client can actually connect to this Xcode instance and access your project files. And at least for now, this is a UI dialog, so this is not something that can be easily automated away other than hacking around it. So this is something that we need to figure out.
And so the implication of that would be that you can't just sort of let an agent go run and for a long running task unsupervised and then come back to you after a period of time. It involves some user intervention. So overall,
yeah, so even if you let, for example, your Cloud Code do anything with -- dangerously skip permissions, there is still a second layer of permissions in it. So.
Okay, so summing up, this is a pretty big step forward for developers for Apple platforms who are using Xcode. It allows them to use these tools that their colleagues working on other products have been able to use for quite a while now. And personally, I think it's really critical that Apple release this because they need to provide a compelling developer experience, or else people will move away from the platform. And let's hope that some of the kinks, like the permission dialog issue, will be worked out in the near future.
Yeah, and the MCP protocol is open, so I think it's pretty nice that Apple joined this initiative and opened up Xcode a little bit more. It's always nice.
Definitely. Okay, well, thanks everybody. We'll post more updates as we land them.